Lokati here. Today we had an interesting question from Prod Cryptic in our Twitch channel today, and that was how do I figure out the weightings on my character so that I can search for jewels that are going to increase my damage. And weightings are a very subjective situation. They vary from character to character, they vary from build to build, they vary from gear to gear, and as you get more gear, your weightings change. Now, in the past, we have used POB to calculate the weightings for our character. POB is not available right now, so we're back to hand-driven math. And we kind of figured out a nice, quick, easy way to do this because most of the weightings are pretty straightforward. And so first we'll talk about the super easy ones. And these are going to be the ones that you're most commonly looking for as well. So let's assume you're playing a character that does elemental damage. You need to know what the weighting is on your increased elemental damage. Go to your passive tree, hold down shift, and you'll see that your damage for Stormwave, we'll assume is your regular ability that you're trying to increase, goes from 3682 to 3700. You go 3682 minus 3700, and that's an 18 DPS change on 8% elemental damage. Now you take that, you divide that by 8, and your weighting on elemental damage is 2.25 DPS per 1% elemental damage. So we'll open up a notepad, we'll make a little note of that for us. 1% LE damage equals 2.25. Now, there's other things that we need to take into consideration, things like attack speed. So we need to find an attack speed node here. Go find an attack speed node. That's unarmed damage. That doesn't do us any good. This one is 4% attack speed. The 6% attack speed, if you've been hit recently, has no impact on our character. And strength, well, this character scales with strength, so we can't use that one. Let's find another attack speed. Here we go. 3% attack speed. Very straightforward. Now, again, your weightings will change based on your skills. And so different skills use different weightings as well. But we're using Stormwave because Stormwave is our main ability. So we get 3682 base again to 3782. Now, we don't really need a calculator to do this math, but we'll do it. It's 100 divided by 3. And you can see that the value of 1% attack speed is huge for this character. It'll be 33.33 weighting. Very, very powerful for attack speed. Attack speed is going to be one of our most important skills that we can get. And you can also look at crit chance here, and you would do your weightings for crit chance. That's 3716. We go 3682 minus 3716 gets us 34. That was 10 crit strike chance, which gives us 3.14 when we divide by 10. So 1 point of crit chance equals 3.4. And so even though we're not a crit-based character, you can see crit chance is actually incredibly valuable for us. Crit bonus damage, we're going to look at 3682, 3732 divided by 15, another 3.33. So 1% crit bonus damage equals 3.33. Now you have to keep in mind that as you get more crit, the value of crit is going to increase. As you get more attack speed, the value of attack speed will decrease because there are nominal ranges based on the total of other stats on all of your gears where these things increase or decrease in value. So you have to reevaluate your stats each time you get large chunks of these stats. You do major upgrades to your character so that you know what it's going to be like. But we'll just use these. Now, this 1% elemental damage also applies to 1% quarterstaff damage because all of our damage is quarterstaff damage. It also applies to 1% melee damage because we're looking at only doing melee damage. However, it doesn't apply to cold damage, for example. If we go down to our Stormwave, which is the skill that we're looking at here, you'll see that our Stormwave does 1900 lightning damage, 1200 cold damage, 1000 fire damage, 129 physical damage. And so all of these numbers are not entirely accurate to fire, cold, and lightning. So you would have to find, like if you want to see your cold damage, you'd have to find something that says cold damage. So we'll look at lightning damage right here. The lightning damage is 3682, 3693. We go 3682 minus 3693. And that gives us 11 divided by 12. So lightning damage, 1% lightning damage only has a value of 0.91 compared to all LE damage, which is 2.25. And so this will get you your weightings. And if you're looking for jewels, for example, you'll hop over to a Peewee trade window, which I'm sure is going to make me re-log into everything. I mean, Peewee trade now, the way it is. See if it's going to make me do it. No, it doesn't. So really simple. We come in here, we set our stat weightings, weighted sum. We go to increased LE damage. Go to increased lightning damage. Go to increased attack speed. Go to increased melee damage. Go to increased quarterstaff damage. Go to crit damage. This will be increased critical damage bonus. Critical damage bonus is a unique more multiplier, but we're just looking at the increased. And then we'll also need increased crit damage bonus for attack damage because we are doing attack damage, and that's the same. Increased critical hit chance, and then increased crit hit chance for attacks because we are doing attacks. And that'll be all of our weightings. I'm going to move this on the side so I can see this while I'm typing. So we put a weight of 2.5 here, and then a weight of 2 here and here. Attack speed had a weighting of 33.3. Increased lightning damage, again, only had a weight of 0.91. Crit bonus damage had a weight of 3.33. 0.33. 4. And 3.4. And here is our jewel weighting. Now, the first thing you want to do is you'll hit search. And if the search is ever over 10,000, you need to reduce your number of searches because it's just not finding everything on the market. So we're going to hit sum. See what our top line is. Our top line is 94, so we'll set this at like 80 minimum total sum on the weighted search. 5,140 matches looks good. We sort this again, and we can see that this jewel right here, which is only 8 divine, is increased elemental damage, increased crit bonus damage, increased crit chance from attacks, has a total value of 151 DPS for us on our character here. And then as you get more of these, they will all multiply and further increase everything else. There are things we've obviously left off in this particular search. Magnitude of damaging ailments you inflict with critical hits is valuable. Very hard weighting to calculate because you need to first calculate how much damage the increase in magnitude is of your shock that is applied. 16% of a base shock of 20 is 2.6, something like that. 3.2. Hold on. Mental math sucks. 20 times 1.16. It's 3.2, yeah. So 3.2% increased damage. And then that would be 3.2% times your crit rate. My crit rate is only 0.1 right now. 10%. So that means that this is a 0.32% increase times, 6682. So that would be divided by 100 because it's 0.3%. So this value of this node is actually a value of about 21% average damage increase. And then this is spanned out over the duration of the shock compared to the crit rate chance. And so this probably is closer, I think crit, like, we're getting complex math here. I think shock has a duration of 2 seconds. If you have 8 attacks per second, that would be times 16 because you're going to increase your average rate of your shocks based on your attacks per second times your critical hit chance. So this value right here ends up becoming incredibly valuable to your DPS because there's a high chance that you're going to land a crit that's going to inflict a shock that's going to be a larger shock. That shock is 3.2% increase to your damage whenever it lands, and your uptime on it is pretty solid just because you attack so fast in this imaginary situation. So there's lots of different things to take into consideration when you're looking at these weightings, but you can get some simple generic weightings going. And then when you have special modifiers that are much more complex, you can either just look at those, hey, that's free damage, or you can sit down and actually do the math to calculate it out. Now, we're not going to go through every single weighting that is physically possible, but if you do have questions about your weightings, dude, drop a comment down below. Come by Twitch. I love answering questions. That's how this video is created, and so we're happy to answer more. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.